Okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sriman IT Solutions, where you will get all the training solutions over here in this Sriman IT Solutions. So we are dedicatedly working on cloud, DevOps, Azure, and many other technologies. So today we are conducting the free workshop on Azure DevOps concept. So basically, in this workshop, you are going to get a good brief on what is Azure DevOps and what are the different things involved in this, and why there is a much importance is given for Azure DevOps, and what exactly it does, and how it is helpful in the development strategies. So before going to start, let me introduce myself. My name is Rakesh. I'm a trainer in DevOps and cloud computing as well as in Azure, and having more than 10 years of experience in trainings and also along with the real-time experiments. So in the complete training, offline or online, when you enroll in Sriman IT Solutions, you will be getting two important things. One is the subject, which is practically, and along with that, you are going to get real-time examples. This is a major motto in every training of my trainings. So let's start the Azure DevOps today. So what is basically this Azure DevOps is, and why Azure DevOps is that much of very important in the market and all. As you know, when we are talking about the DevOps, we are supposed to have some idea about the past, what we have done in the past and why we are implementing this one today. So if you take in the 90s projects, which have the long-term commitments of the projects, that projects is meant for some kind of commitment and deliveries. In the sense, the project where it comes with some kind of prerequisites and the deliverables also will be fixed according to the time. Means the intermediate time which they will take is completely comfortable time. But the thing is that the people who are taking the requirements in the initial stages and people who are delivering the product to the customer at the end of the day are completely different. And due to the much time gap in the middle, there are many technical communication and formal communication, and regarding the project, there is a communication gaps. So because of these communication gaps in the 90s, what happened is there are major loss. Basically, it follows the way it is representing on the screen. You can see now, basically, the people will be collecting the requirements, and after that, they will be going for a design. Design in the sense, according to their requirement, what would be the infrastructure. Nowadays, we are very happy to say that we are flying in the cloud environments. But remember, and you have to know one important fact in the past is we have used the virtual machines which are on-premise. Handling virtual machines in on-premise, it's a very biggest task for every engineer who is working in the organization. Because of the reason, the virtual machines which resides in the organization will always be a disastrous thing to manage, because there may be many outages will happen. The first one is the network outage. The second one is the power outage. Maybe power outage can be avoided now, but not in the olden days, right? So there are many challenges for the people who are operating the data centers inside the own premises. Even though still today, few of the banks and some healthcare industries will follow some kind of methodology maintaining the servers inside their own premises. But 95% of the people who will completely dependent today on cloud technologies like AWS, Azure, and GCP. Coming to here, the designing part is like it's a very complex thing. The reason behind of it is selecting the VMs and according to that creating and network allocation is going to be a biggest task for the people to do with the project. Even though after doing this, a big challenge, people will be going for the implementation step, like we'll be discussing about the product outcome and the features wise, they will be explaining it to the developers. These things were happened in one sitting or like one kind of intro round. Because of this, what happens is people cannot consider all the data at one time and cannot do the builds and everything at one time, right? Because yes, we are human beings, we might have forget a few things. Everybody does. So because the technical things are always some kind of complexity, remembering them is always a big task for everybody. So, but irrespective of that, the complete product details have been given to the development team at a time. So the developer teams are working fine, and after that they did some implementation, and after that they are going for a verification process. The verification process is nothing but it's a testing and looking at the outcome of the product, how this is working in the real time. So once that is ready, then they will go for the deployment and go for the maintenance. If that is not ready, again they will reach back to the developers, and if something is not working out, people will be reaching out back to the developers and the code will be verified again. Because of this, basically what happens is, end of the day, the finishing of one product will take a couple of months of time. But if it is going back to the development again, you can think how much of time is got wasted in the middle. So this is what the biggest disadvantage of the waterfall model, which is under the one of the major SDLC, which played a vital role in the time of 90s in the history. So people have come to an idea that this model is giving some kind of issues, so we should switch to a model that communication should happen very properly. So then they come to the concept called in the 2009, in the year of 2009, they come to the concept called Agile Methodology. The Agile Methodology is all about splitting the work into pieces of work. If you are taking 100% of the work, just splitting them into 5%, 5%, like 10 pieces, or otherwise 2%, 2%, 50 pieces. So if you're taking some amount of data of the work or some amount of the work, you are going to split them into individual pieces of the work. And every piece of work you will be called as a goal that should be finished in the time called sprint. Whenever you enter into the organization, you will be hearing the words called sprints. The sprints are dedicated to finish up some goals. The goal is maybe the feature, or maybe the bugs, or maybe any development criteria. Basically, these all are, we will be looking in the Agile methodology. This Agile methodology have reduced a lot of gaps, and it have given a wonderful opportunity for the organizations in IT industry. So the people have seen the best efficiency of the work by using Agile methodology. So then on the subsidiary concept of this one, on the child concept of the Agile methodology, they have brought up to the DevOps culture only for the reason is, as of now, because of the Agile methodology, the thing what happened is, person to person, the time gap has been reduced. And person to person management gaps have been reduced. But thing is one third main criteria which is pending at this Agile methodology. What is pending here really? The technical content from one person to other person is pending. What is the meaning of the technical content really? What I'm speaking about is, if you assume a person who is doing the development, he might be not knowing about the Ansible, what it does for. Yes or no? So people who are working in one area of the work, people does not have an idea about the other place, what other persons do. So because of this, what happens? The technical gaps will occur. So what organizations are thinking in the 2010s after implementing the Agile methodology is, we need a person who can take the ownership of all these things and can keep the things in a proper manner to get them 100% reliable output. So he is the person, DevOps engineer. Then the DevOps, when comes into the picture, DevOps is the person who is learning all the infrastructure related tools in his hand, and he will be involving in each and every team, and he will be resolving the issues. So there comes the DevOps engineer have become a key role person in the history. So basically what the DevOps will take is a good ownership. Because of this ownership is what happening is he's taking the complete responsibility. Taking complete responsibility is nothing but he is going to do a better job like involving with all the teams, and he will be resolving the issues. You think is this really is going to be advantage or what? This is really the advantage, right? Because in the 90s and 2000s years, when you take in the decade also, People are working individually according to their department. But people in this current scenario, people are working with different teams with having a good knowledge on those tools. So definitely it's going to be one of the wonderful feature of a person by learning a DevOps engineer. That's why the reason DevOps is making us market this sound very well. The only reason behind of it is involving it with all the teams. So that's why there comes to the picture is called DevOps. So in simple, if I want to talk about the DevOps, you can say that he will be involving in the development, IT operations, and QA as well as. Means he will be involving in end-to-end all the applications level. But one thing you remember, development in the sense he will be not writing the code. He will be collaborating with the development team, and if any build related issues are coming, he will be looking into the infra side, what are the dependencies are stopping the build too. So regarding that, he will be helping the team. This is how the DevOps engineer will work. So basically, there are some principles for the DevOps and which he will follow, and why this DevOps culture have become more. If you take the principle one, the customer-centric action. What is customer-centric action? Collecting the requirement from the customer and day-to-day activity, and also maintaining the proper sprints and discussing with inside the team on a sprint basis and scrum meetings. What are these all? These all are customer-centric action. Basically, peoples will be continuously involving with and meeting with the client, and will be talking about the issues and the next level of developments. That will reduce a lot of gap from the client to the development area. Because of this, what happens is basically you are going to have a good rapport with the client, where end of the day your project will be 100% successful. And next, the principle two is about the creating with the end in mind. What is the creating with end in mind? Whenever you are interacting with the client will reveal you what are the things to be implemented. Here, the DevOps engineer is the person who is a quick learner in the infra side and will have some in hands-on with some tools which are related to other tools as well as. So basically, he is going to be a person who will always keep his mind updated with some projects related issues or project related developments. Principle three, end-to-end responsibility. As I told you, a DevOps engineer is a key role person in the project. He will be taking care of the entire project end to end. So basically, what he will do is he will be taking care of the project end to end. Like he will be dealing with the development team. He will be dealing with all the different kind of teams inside the projects. So this responsibility will definitely give the project 100% output. And the principle four is cross-functional autonomous teams. What is cross-functional autonomous teams? Simple. The knowledge, whatever you have, you will be sharing with each and every persons of different teams. Let us assume you are discussing about one build issue. You have met one build develop related person, developer, dev team related person, developer. And when developers comes with a question like there is some node dependencies on the container, you will be speaking with him and you are going to tell him that you are going to install some dependencies and you will be suggesting which dependencies will be work for this particular code, because version to version differences will be there, right? Regarding that, you will be doing some R&D and he will be helping the development team to go in such a way that errors should not be there in the future because of the dependencies of the infrastructure, not dependencies of code. Code part developer will take care of. Syntactical errors or any code related errors, that all the errors will be taken care by developers. But whenever the code is going for the next further actions, that will be taken care by the DevOps. And the next one, principle 5 comes to the continuous improvement. As I told you, DevOps engineers are involved in different teams. They always try to keep the organization in very safest mode by reducing the costs. The cost reduction policies and the cost optimization is also one of the important factor and key role for the DevOps engineer. He will be always keeping an eye on the infrastructure and what are the infrastructure if not necessary, he will be removing and the advanced methodology, what can be replaced to reduce the cost also will be implemented by doing some R&D. That is nothing but the DevOps engineer also will have some kind of R&D methodology every time will be following in the organization and implementing the new things to reduce the cost. The principle 6 comes under the picture is automate everything. Automate everything in the sense, whenever the things are doing repeatedly inside the organization in the infra, those things can be directly minimized by using the automation. The automation will really help us each and everybody in reducing a lot of efforts. Whenever you are doing the things manually, there are many issues will happen. There are many tools available in the market like Jenkins and CI/CD for many tools are available, and the automation. That automations can be simply solved by the DevOps engineer. So coming to the DevOps principles, these are the principles of the DevOps. Now we will talk about how these are very helpful and wonderfully created inside the Azure. As of now, we are talking about the DevOps and how this is wonderfully created with Azure and how come this is called as Azure DevOps. That is the one important step which we are going to learn. That is the main concept for today. We are going to learn is Azure DevOps. If you look at the concepts of the Azure DevOps, there will be a plan. Basically, this plan will be following some third-party tools when we are using the simple DevOps culture. Even though the tools which we use for like Jira for writing the stories, or otherwise, whatever other tools you are using to tell about the team to do some particular activities for the particular days, that might be really helpful. But the good thing is that one, Azure will provide internally all these things inside this. The plans, you can keep it on the boards and you can discuss with the teams. That is available inside the Azure. And the next important thing is, whenever you are going to do the development task, the development, whatever the code you are going to send it, and wherever you are going to store inside the Azure, that can be shared to each and every person directly inside the Azure. Means there is no need of separate artifactory, dedicated artifactory server for storing the artifacts. Simply, you can share everything inside the Azure platform by giving the username and password. Is it really not helpful when person is doing something directly accessing from the same platform? So that's why Azure is also having an option to do this one. Azure have many options which happens everything and outside of the DevOps with the open source tools. Azure also have pre-built each and everything today to make the very efficient framework for the people to work on the DevOps culture very efficiently inside the organization. If you can see after the develop, there will be definitely after developing something, we are going to do the deliver. When we talk about the delivering the things, the delivering the things also can be happened through the CI/CD pipelines, which happens with outside. But in Azure, basically this also have inside the tools which have already pre-built to do the builds. This is also one of the good advantage for the people who can do everything on one single framework. And the next one is operate. Operations wise is nothing but simple. It's all about just implementing and deploying the applications or artifacts, the developed artifacts on the top of the servers, which will serve the traffic to the client. Basically, whenever some piece of code is developed and that is built, and when it is deployed on the top of the server, that is going to serve for the customer. So whenever you are going to do this one, this also can be possible by using the Azure. So we are talking about these many features are available in the Azure. Let's do one thing. We will go step by step how these things will work out very well. Today we'll take about some sample concepts of 4 to 5 concepts today, and I'll explain you how efficiently Azure DevOps is working really great in the market and how it is very helpful for the person to do the development in the DevOps area and culture. Let's start with one of the important thing is Azure boards. As of now, I'm keeping the slides in front of you, which is theoretical. In a couple of minutes, I'm going to open up practical examples and how we are going to do these things. I'm going to open the Azure dashboard, and there I'm going to show you how the things will be. Okay, so just bear with me for some couple of minutes. After that, quickly I'll take you to the real-time sessions. So there you can see how we are going to do the things by using these concepts. But as a learner for the first time, when you are listening to the Azure DevOps, you're supposed to have good idea about the theoretical concepts of Azure DevOps. So the first one is Azure boards. Azure boards are especially designed in such a way that to plan and track your process of your development and what are the plannings that you are going to do. And it also will have the option to integrate with other tools in the market as well as. So basically what you can do is whenever you are using this one inside your team, you can manage your projects. You can go to the boards and you can discuss about your projects. And along with that, it also will give you a support of Scrum and Kanban. When you hear the Scrum and Kanban, you might be wondering this may be new words, but these are very olden words. It's called Kanban. Scrum might be the new one when it came to the Agile methodology. But Kanban is like, I'll tell you an example. In the big organizations, means which are having a good infra availability of organizations, they will be keeping one entirely separate dedicated room for Kanban. What they will do on the top of the walls, they will write some boards, they'll keep some whiteboards like this, and they will put some Excel marks. And they'll be writing on the boards and they will be discussing about the challenges to the entire year by looking at the complete walls, and they will be discussing every day in that room. And that room will be centrally locked and some kind of security one. So basically what is happening of this one? They are discussing each and everything where they are. Basically, every IT project will be some progressive projects itself. If there is no progress in the project is not useful. So basically, regarding the progress, if they are not discussing, they are not progressive in the future, right? If you speak about your defects, then only you will become perfect. Likewise, if they talk about something about the defects or some issues in the project, then only they can overcome them very quickly. But in the olden days, likewise, what happened is they have discussed it for a couple of months. But nowadays, this is happening in every day in the morning of first 1 hour. That is called Scrum meeting. And they will be finishing up that goals in the sprint at any cost. The dedicated timings are given so in such a way that the project can be completed in minimized timeline. So the timeline should be followed very properly. So because of this, the Kanban sheets are very helpful. Even that also will be supported by Azure here. And your dashboards in this Azure, you can create on your own and which you can also customize according to your requirement. Basically, it will provide some default dashboards to you, but you can modify them automatically as how you want. And this also integrated with our Microsoft Teams and Slack. So these are the communication areas where you will be communicating to your teams. Means whenever you are making any changes in the Kanbans or whenever you are making changes in the boards, that will trigger the mails to the respective people who are involved in that board. Are you getting my point? When a discussion is going on for some project and from particular plan, the people who have involved in that board, that dashboard people can be having integrated with access directly without giving any manual access by person, that already integrated with Microsoft Teams and Slacks in such a way that whenever there is a changes or something is added, that will be notified to the person. This will be definitely helpful for the person when it is getting a notification, right? So this is the one more important thing. And we can also create, what we can do is, whenever the person is doing some story, means whenever the dashboards are created, these people are called them as stories. User stories, because the people what they write about the project is called as stories. In Zira also they will call as stories. So likewise, whenever the user stories are there, so because related to the user, what he is writing and what are the backlog items related to him, and what are the tasks and features and bugs, and that all are related to that person, whatever he is supposed to going to develop, and what are the pending and what happened and what going to be happened. Everything is recorded in a sense in the form of logs that will be kept on the boards. This is happened with this, and because of him, this is what happened. Let's have a physical look on the board, how this board looks like. This is an example board I kept in front of you to just to show you how the real time, how the boards look like. See, if you come under the boards, if you can see, for the one project, they have created the individual boards, you can see, and in the top of the car, in the top of this one, if you can see, there are something called, see, new, active, resolved, and closed. Hope you can find those options in the 4 options in the top. Means whenever the new tasks will come and sit in the board, they are supposed to be assigned to a person who is responsible for that. If it is responsible for the development team, the development team will pick it and it will be assigned on the person who is doing the development. In the organization, you will call this one as tasks. Okay. Next one, which are active. In the sense, from how many days this is going on and what are the developments have been made accordingly. The person who have owned the task, he will be updating like what are the things have been covered and what are the things are pending. So these are all the things will be updated by the person who is doing that particular activity. So because of this, what will happen? The person who is heading the project will understand what are the things are going on. As of because of this detailed descriptions, the person who is heading the project, means who is the owner of the project, will be taking care of entire project by looking at these activity reports. Does this really helpful or not? On one board, everything. If, so for example, the person is saying like build is successful, what he will do is he will directly switch to the builds, which are here in the pipeline session. In the left side, you can see the related pipeline name. He will open and he will see whether it is success or not. So what he is getting, the person when he is trying to do something for the team and who is a responsible person, ownership person, trying to finish up the project, he will directly get an access on one line, right? In one single board, he can do everything, right? That is the one. And the active one also, the problems which are active, the problems also can be discussed on the Scrum meeting in such a way that these will be resolved on the same day. Means, let us assume the issue has some problem regarding the code development or infra dependencies from the DevOps engineer. That will be discussed in the Scrum meeting so that it can be minimized and will be resolved as quick as possible. So this is the way how you are going to resolve the issues by using the Azure dashboards. So here are the different dashboards in front of you. You can see and observe. The next one is resolve. What is the meaning of the resolve? Means if the task is completed in state, they will be closing that one in the status as resolved. By looking at the things, the ownership who have given this task, then he will get to know that this task is resolved by the person. If that is resolved, it is completely working according to some period of SLA, service level agreements, that will be comes to the closed state. Means if it is closed, directly they can close an option from the ownership, and few companies will follow on SLA process. So I hope you understand about the sample dashboard of DevOps and Azure DevOps and how this looks like, and also along with that what dashboard can does. And simply we'll move to the next important concept is Azure Repos. You know, when we talk about the repos, simply you will get in a mind that Git or GitHub repo and Bitbucket repos, which people who have an idea about the DevOps might be knowing them very quickly. But simply let me give you some simple example for the people who are listening them for the first time. GitHub repositories are the repositories especially designed in such a way that to make the team collaboration and make the code of the versioning and maintain the code in a very secured way by using this tools. This comes under the concept of source code management tools. So when we talk about the same thing in the Azure Repos, which will provide the support of private Git repository hosting and for the team foundation server control TFSC. Basically, these are interactive and communication collaboration tools inside the team so that people can easily collaborate one with the other. People will not meet physically, people meet virtually by using the tools to talk about the issues on the code. What is the purpose of this? To avoid the issues and to resolve the issues. And next important thing in this one is Azure also will offer a set of version control tools which are especially used for the source code of every development project, even though it is maybe a large one or maybe the small one. Irrespective of your project size, directly you can pick it up. That Azure DevOps will support that. And whenever you edit the code, and also you can ask the source control system to create a snapshot of the files. Basically, this snapshot availability, when you are using as a GitHub user, as a free open source person, when you are using Git as a open source method, this option is not available. This option is available for the entrepreneurship person or the premium member person. But that option is also available here in the same Azure account. Azure DevOps will also give that option here. That is one more important thing. So, and one more thing, this snapshot also will be saved permanently so that whenever you want this one, whenever you want the particular snapshot of the code, you can also recall that one back if you needed that one. Is this a wonderful opportunity or what? So this is going to be definitely a wonderful opportunity. And moreover, in the world, wherever you see, Git is the most important and most used version control system among all the developers across the globe. And Azure Repos will also offer the standard Git. Standard Git, when we are talking about the standard Git, in the sense, he is going to give you the premium version of the Git to you. Go and do the operations accordingly as per your requirement. And along with that, you can also use your client tools as per their own choice as well as. If you can see for the Git for the Windows and for the Mac, and also for the third-party Git services and tools such as Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code. Basically, you know, Visual Studio is a place or the tool where you will be editing your code, which is one of the beautiful tools in the market, where you can edit the code, especially used for the developers and for the DevOps engineer and everybody who will follow some syntactical structures inside the code. So this also can be integrated inside the Azure Repos, so that in such a way that your development will go very fast. Yes or no? So that is one more important thing. So I hope you people have got some idea about the Azure Repos now. So let's have a look on some sample dashboard how Azure Repos will look in the real-time environment. So if you can see the picture in front of you, this is a dashboard of Azure Repos and how it will look like. If you can see this one, the graph will indicate that one who is doing the commits, and after that, in the commit, what is there. And if you click on the commit, you will get to know what things have been changed. So basically, this kind of options, the people who have already idea on the DevOps might have seen in the GitHub repository. So the same thing is in front of you in the single framework called Azure DevOps. One thing we have already Zira and the stories and everything we have in the Azure DevOps. And next thing is we also have the code, which is the source code management also in the Azure DevOps. Like this, there are many exciting things were there inside this Azure DevOps. Let's go the step by step. What is the next one we are going to see? After the code, everybody knows that one next stage is to go for the build of the code. Basically, in the simple DevOps culture, we will be using Maven for the developing the or to produce the builds of artifacts. But here, that integrations also can be possible in a single framework. How that is going to be happen, that I'm going to show you right. So basically, there is a concept of Azure Pipelines inside the Azure DevOps. What this will do is, these pipelines will do automatically build, test, and deploy your code to make the available to other users. Whenever the code is developed and whenever you have the artifacts are available, and then after that one, directly you can access them inside the organization, and the people related to the different teams like development and testing and acceptance and the production departments, people can directly access this piece of code which is produced. Let us assume you have a code and you developed it, and after that one, you are going for the build. That build also happens in this one Azure pipeline. Once it completes automatically for the each and every team, it will be available directly. This is really a very useful thing. In the simple DevOps culture, you are going to specify one dedicated server to store the artifacts. From that URLs, you are going to share it to a particular person, then only he can access. Roots, privileges, users, privileges, and permissions, many things will comes into the picture in that way. But Azure DevOps is going to give that option very quickly. Everybody person who is having access to their management console of the Azure DevOps can directly go and hit the page of the pipelines, and from there, he can directly download the produced artifact. The developer will go for the testing of this one internally, and the test people will go to apply some sanity or any other tests. If they have testing team, acceptance team will follow and see the artifact whether it is working properly or not. Production team, once they get all the approvals they are going to for the use for the deployments. See, everybody in the team can access, which is a very good advantage here. And along with that, it combines the CI/CD where it will do automatically the builds and deploying of the code. This is the first important thing. One more major important thing in the Jenkins, which we use generally, there we are going to use the plugins in the plugins management and we will install. That is another story. But remember, whenever you are using Azure pipelines, we can integrate a number of version control systems like Azure Repos, Git, TFS, GitHub, GitHub Enterprise, Subversion, and Bitbucket Cloud. Means whenever you want to get the piece of code which is located in somewhere, any one of these listed source code management tools, which I just read out. So from that, you can pick up your code and you can also easily integrate them with the Azure pipelines. That is the one more important thing. And the next one is you can also use pipelines with most application types, which will be used for such as Java, JavaScript, Node.js, and Python, and .NET, C++, Go, PHP, and Xcode. So I hope this looks very familiar with what outside does, and it is also doing very greatly. And one more important thing, if I have something where the piece of code should be deployed on some dedicated servers, that servers can also deploy in multiple target environments. Let us assume you have the environments in your organization through the Azure DevOps is like QA, UAT, and production. According to your target of the servers, in this from the pipeline itself, directly you can deploy this to the servers. Basically, to do this one in the simple DevOps, we will be connecting with many of the things. But here directly it is doing all the job and directly deploying it to where it should be available to the customer. I hope you understand well about Azure pipelines. Let me show you the sample picture of this, how it looks like in the real time. So if you can see in the real time, this will be looks like this. The dashboard, you can see agents and jobs. Once we started in our course, or when you enroll for this course, you will be going much deeper into each and everything. As of now, I'm showing you the sample one, where how it looks like. So these are the Azure pipelines, sample ones, and you can see in the one, the pipelines have some, what is the pipeline? And next one in the releases session also will be there where you are going to do the releases. And after that, in the right side also, you can see the view of 250 changes were there. So means complete history of the code build deploy. Everything is in front of you now on single framework. Next, there are some important things to talk about the Azure test plans. Basically, when you will develop the code in the real-time environments, people will be given the piece of codes in the from the artifacts tree to the artifacts to the testing people to test further. But here, using Azure test plans, teams also can improve their code quality using the plan and exploratory services in the Azure DevOps. What is the meaning of that? Azure test plans will offer you a different kind of features where it will improve your piece of code, like by using the manual testing, means where you can also plan for your manual testing, and also exploratory testing, user acceptance testing, and for gathering feedback from the stakeholders. So these are all the things can be discussed in one line. So because of this, what happens? It will come out of with the 100% output. This is one more important thing. And with manual testing, tests are organized into test levels and test suites by testers and test leads. Basically, test is for what? Once code is written, artifacts is generated, whether it is working properly or not. That is called test. So these are all the things also you can plan in your test plan. So because of this, what happens? Dedicated, time-oriented, exactly, you can reach out your plans. Yes or no? When you are doing manually, the person may be not available. Yes or no? So here that option is not there. You will be directly dealing with that, and you are directly planning that, and you are going to interact with the certain team to do that job quickly. So the next important thing is that one, developers also can request a feedback on their user stories. Means whenever they go and do the build pipeline, they will update the same thing in the dashboard. From there also they can request for a feedback. What is regarding the feedback is for what? Regarding if any issues is there, how we are going to helpful in that issues. Regarding that, he can also request. This feature also is available in the Azure DevOps. And here the person, stakeholders in the sense who is the person going to take care of the product, can also respond directly to the feedback item. Means a person, the client who is getting this issue also can directly respond to that. So this is where developer team is getting a direct input from the people where the issues. When they are getting the issue directly, that can be minimized very minimal time. When it is closed in the minimal time, the project will get efficiency in the output. So this is how the Azure test plans are very helpful in the organization by using Azure DevOps. I hope you understand the Azure test plans, how these are going to work by using Azure DevOps. Let me show you in the real time how your Azure test plans will be there in the Azure DevOps. If you can see here, all the parts and the test plans will be written. In that one, some important notes also have been written, like notify the customer, notify the user, means features, and regarding that one, everything is discussed very properly. Okay, let us assume a developer is generated a code in such a way that whenever order is placed, it should be notified to the person. If that is something not working within a proper manner, they will be writing here in the feedback session and in the test plans that will be executed. So here is how your project is having integrity with the Azure test plans in the Azure DevOps. And we also going to discuss one more important thing is Azure artifacts. So by using Azure artifacts, you can create and share the artifacts like NuGet, NPM, Python, and Maven packages from private and public sources within the teams in Azure DevOps. So with the teams in the Azure DevOps, you are sharing in a sense, people are not going to have any complexity. Whenever these are produced, directly they are connecting it. That is what the end of the day we want, right? So directly it is happening. Next important thing is that these packages can be used in source code and can be made available to the CI/CD pipelines. So CI/CD pipelines, once after the developing the piece of code in the sense for the deployment person. Deployment purpose in the sense we will be deploying the piece of artifacts to the servers to available. That is also possible directly. You can integrate and by doing the direct download from the Azure artifacts location. And one more important point is using Azure artifacts, you can create multiple feeds that you can use to organize and control access to the packages. You know already, whenever you are using any of the services inside the organization, the number one matter comes into the picture is called security. Securing your project related data sources from the persons is very important. When I'm talking about the security from the persons in the sense not outside of the organizations, even though considered as a not outside of the organizations, in the organization also it should be managed properly and it should be allocated the permissions in such a way that who should access and who should not access. So in that way, what happens is your data sources inside the consoles will be secured in a proper way so that your data sources will be secure. So this all can be possible by using the Azure artifacts. Oh, this is a short intro on the Azure artifacts. Might be digging into the deeper in the future classes, maybe in the direct class, but in the Azure artifacts in the real time, you can have the look like this. So if you can see the sample of Azure artifact, they will be looks like this. So by using the project setup, if you want to do, you can run the piece of code like that, and after that, you can get your packages to be done inside your machine. See, code, story, what we have learned as of now. Let me come to the step by step. The first step is stories, and next one is plans, builds, pipelines, and after that deployments. Everything is happening inside the one framework. So that's why the Azure DevOps boards will be very helpful. Okay, so this is how it would be. Let me share you the real time how it looks like. I'll take you to the real time scenario, how this looks like. So I'm going to share you the screen for a Azure DevOps dashboard. Now you can see here. So now if you can see here, this is a dashboard. And here if you can see, whatever the points we have discussed as of now, that will be here, like boards, pipelines, repos, pipelines, and after that, test plans, and the below of this one, artifacts. So these are all the things will be resided here in the Azure DevOps dashboard. And if you want to just go and create this one, go into Azure DevOps and click on this one here. And if you click on the first one itself, you will be directed to the Azure DevOps service. So you can also start free with. So if you want to start free with GitHub, in the sense, if you have any GitHub account, you can continue with that. It will take you all the accounts and details, and it will come. And if you want to start for free, and you can also enroll by using this. The enrollment process will simply like just giving your mail ID and password. That's will be. Once you're done with that one, this is the first option where you will be getting your dashboard. And you can create your items by getting a new work item, and after that, there you can write about the item, title about something test. And after that, when you are planning and everything, so what is the status of the planning and all these things, you can do this one. And after that, the description one, once you write the description one, you can talk about this plan. You can do like this. So just this is about just writing some story on the dashboard. Once if you save it back to work items, you will be having the story which is written on the dashboard. So you can also customize them. That we will do in the advanced levels. So to basically to explain you how this dashboards will be that I have given to you. And after that, the next important thing is like we also have the which one I told you like GitHub and the test repos integration, the GitHub, which I have already shown you in the real time how it would be. And these are the methods where you can import to your repository and you can get your code. The next one is the pipelines. If you can see, you can create your own pipeline by clicking on the pipelines. If you have the code once is your pipeline is ready in your any of the repositories. I told you it can also integrate with any of the repositories, maybe Azure DevOps repo or Bitbucket Cloud or GitHub or GitHub Enterprise solution or otherwise other Git and Subversion. Basically, these are all source code management tools where your source code is going to be kept inside this. So that also will be considered and that will be given in this. Okay. So this is how you are going to authorize for the pipelines, and next after that one you will be integrating with the GitHub. Okay. You will be giving your password and you will be going to hide the rest. So next afterwards, what is the next important thing we also have discussed is test plans, how you are going to execute the test plans. So you can create the test plans here, how it's going to be. So according to that, you can write your test plans and you can execute your test plans. As I told you, whenever it's supposed to go under what state, that will be properly written over here. So that test plans you can write. So at present, I just log in as a user level, so that's why it is not giving any test plans as of now. I should do the complete integration, like creating complete account should be there. So the next one is, which I told you is artifacts. So artifacts, as I told you, which is used for a storing of your artifacts, which can be further used in the end-to-end project everywhere in the your complete project area. Okay. So as of now, we don't have any artifacts to be created here. Once we have some artifacts to be developed, that can be kept here and should be communicated towards a team by using this. So this is actually like introductory to the Azure DevOps dashboards and Azure DevOps repos and everything. So this is how the Azure DevOps will be doing multiple operations from a single. Not only this 4 or 5 which we have discussed, it have many things which it does. So these are all the things we will be discussing in future, and that will be discussed in the classrooms along with the projects, which is the sample projects and the major projects. And the projects which we are going to do major projects are the live projects which you do in the organizations directly. So those are all the things we'll be covering in the Azure DevOps real-time classes. Any doubts as of now, guys? Any doubts, guys? So anyhow, once again, I want everybody to be in this future journey with us like Sriman IT Solutions. Welcome everyone, heart welcome to everyone. I want everybody to be join with us, and we have dedicated programs for the different trainings like Java, DevOps, and Core Java, and for the Azure DevOps, and for the monitoring tools and everything in the DevOps culture. We are dedicatedly spending different batches so that we want to encourage different stream of the people in such a way that they should be get certified level in their own courses of areas. We are going to provide end-to-end solutions for all of your requirements here. For any details, the details have been shared in the chat with you. You can contact the numbers and you can enroll for the interested courses, and let's continue your journey beautifully with us. Once again, welcome to all. Have a good day. Thanks for joining. Thank you all. Thanks for joining. Have a great weekend.